He just kept saying, you call 911 and you leave, you'll see what's gonna happen. I'm done, he said. I just looked at my phone and he didn't even think twice, and he just pulled the trigger. And I yelled at him and I said, Seamus, look what you did. You killed our son, Seamus.
It was devastating. It was horrific. It was the most heartbreaking case that we had dealt with in quite a while.
There are many guys and women that work here that I've never seen rattled in a way that I did, that day.
Nothing's gonna be the same for the rest of my life. It's been pretty tough. I don't like to show it, but it's like unbearable pain.
I will not hide anymore the truth. And I will honor him by standing by the truth.
The killing of 4-year-old Liam Dempsey at the hands of his father, Seamus, last year shook Warwick, leaving many to wonder how something like this could even happen. We may never know the answer to that question, but Estefania Dempsey is ready to share her story, to not only remember and honor her son, but to also raise awareness about domestic violence. She's hoping her painful story will help prevent another similar tragedy from happening again.
Tonight, the city in mourning. People who live and work in Warwick trying to come to terms with a terrible tragedy after a small child and a man were found dead inside a home in an apparent murder-suicide.
Warwick police are identifying the victim as 4-year-old Liam Dempsey. His father, Seamus Dempsey, died by suicide.
This story just gets more heartbreaking as we learn more information. Not only did we learn the victims' identities, but the Warwick police chaplain says it all happened in front of the child's mother. A year later, and Estefania Dempsey is still trying to come to grips with what happened.
I've been lost. I miss my son. He was so friendly, so affectionate. He would say hi to everybody. Even if he didn't know you, he would say, hi. He'd say, my name is Liam. We nickname him in my family El Terremoto, which means the earthquake, because yeah, he was loud. He was not afraid of anything. He was my wild child. He was just a beautiful soul.
You like it?
Every room he walked in, he would put a smile on your face. He would really light up the room. He was my sunshine.
Estefania remembers singing You Are My Sunshine to Liam the night before his murder. She didn't realize it would be the last time she sang him to sleep.
One boy on one side and then Liam on the other one on the other side, and both cuddling, and he fell asleep.
The next morning on March 21st, 2024, Estefania woke up early to start getting the kids ready for school. But her husband Seamus was already awake, which she says was unusual.
I didn't think anything of it at first. I said, okay, maybe he didn't sleep well.
Estefania says nothing was out of the ordinary that morning as they had breakfast together before dropping her oldest son Gabriel at the bus stop.
He gave Gabe a kiss and said, have a great day, bud. I love you.
But when she came back, that's when things started to go wrong. She went down to the basement to get her youngest Liam ready for school and found Seamus laying right next to him.
And I instantly could smell the alcohol.
Estefania says Seamus promised her he would not drink around the kids after the couple worked with DCYF and a family court judge had previously required Seamus to take a breathalyzer when around the kids.
I panicked. I said, Seamus, you were drinking, huh? And he didn't answer me back. I said, Seamus, I have to leave.
Estefania grabbed Liam and ran toward the front door when she says Seamus tried to knock her on the ground.
And he kept saying, if you leave, you'll see what happens. I started to cry, and I yelled out, why, Seamus? Why are you doing this, Seamus? Please stop. Just let me go.
Estefania says Seamus headed upstairs, so she headed to the front door but couldn't get out as an electronic lock kept them trapped.
Every time I would try to open, he would press a button and he would lock it again. And I'm fighting with this lock about 3 times. He just kept pressing the button from his phone as he, making his way up the stairs. And it's like he already knew what to do.
By the time Estefania finally got the door open, Liam slipped out of her hands.
He kept saying, "Mommy, I want to go back to sleep, Mommy." And he ran from me. With one hand, I held that door open, and then the other, I had my phone ready to call 911. And as I'm ready to call 911, he comes down with Liam. He came down with that gun. I didn't have time to do anything. It was like it was ready and loaded, And I'm just begging him, "Please, Seamus, put it down. Put the gun down, Seamus. I'll do whatever you want, Seamus." He just kept saying, "You call 911 and you leave, you'll see what's gonna happen. I'm done," he said. I just looked at my phone, and he didn't even think twice, and he just pulled the trigger. And I yelled at him and I said, "Seamus, look what you did. You killed our son, Seamus."
Estefania says Seamus Dempsey showed no emotion, and she feared she would be next.
And I couldn't let him take me down. I wasn't gonna let him, and I knew that Liam was gone. But I had to leave for Gabriel.
Estefania ran next door and called 911.
The first thing I said, "Please, go to my son's school," because I was thinking if he did it to his own son, then he's gonna do it to Gabriel.
Schools were placed on lockdown and dispatchers sounded the alarm.
It immediately sounded like a very serious call for service, more so than we receive on a routine basis. I got up, I found a couple of the other officers that we work with. I knew we had some guys that were involved in SWAT training.
Operations Manager Major Joel Thomas and other Warwick police officers all headed to the home on Frawley Street. Safety was their first priority after learning Seamus's mother was still inside the home.
We still potentially had a suspect with another potential victim in the home at that time.
Eventually, Warwick police were able to get on the phone with Ellen Dempsey, who told officers both her son and grandson were dead. Seamus's family did not want to go on camera, but they told me Ellen did try to revive them before she walked out the door. As the investigation into the murder-suicide got underway, Gabriel was called into the principal's office, where officers and family members told him what happened.
I burst into tears. I was like, why did this have to happen? I was like, why is he gone already?
The same questions officers were asking themselves.
There are many guys and women that work here that I've never seen rattled in a way that I did. We're a young department, we're young families, a lot of us have young children, many of them the same age. I think many times when we respond to a scene and you have a child that's passed, a lot of the time it's either a drowning or a medical incident. Those are rare still, and this is even far more rare than that, and it's violent and completely unnecessary and very difficult for everyone to deal with.
At the same school where Gabriel found out what happened, Estefania and Seamus Dempsey actually met 17 years ago at a science class in what used to be Warwick Met's high school. They parted ways after graduation, but their paths would cross again years later.
And I remember him as being a shy, very mannered young man. He wasn't like a troublemaker or anything in school.
Seamus joined the Marine Corps after graduation, and Estefania returned to her hometown of Yauco in Puerto Rico to study nursing for a year. That's where she met her first husband and father of her oldest, Gabriel, but it didn't work out.
We were so young. He had different priorities, and we separated.
Gabriel was diagnosed with a rare lung condition that required intensive medical treatments, so Estefania moved back to Rhode Island to live with her mother. It was around 2014 when Seamus and Estefania reconnected online and started dating.
I thought everything, the world of him. He was a wonderful father to my son, my oldest son. He wasn't the biological father, but he treated my son like he was his own. That's how he won my heart.
After a few years, Seamus proposed and bought a house for them to live together. They got married in 2018, and a year later, Liam was born prematurely.
I got to see him. He was asleep, his eyes were still closed. I held my finger out and he grabbed it. That was my favorite moment because I was like, this is really my brother.
Did you feel that sense of pride, the
Yes.
protectiveness?
I know I was always going to protect him from there on.
But Estefania says the pandemic changed everything.
Go downstairs.
Sweetheart, open the door!
And brought out a dark side of Seamus.
Just like my mom always said, you don't know somebody until you really, when you live with them for good. And yeah, she was right.
Estefania says Seamus started drinking heavily after losing his job during COVID.
That's all he did. First it was for fun in the beginning, and then it turned to, hey, I'm bored. This is all we have.
Then Estefania says he would go through mood swings.
Throwing furniture around, punching walls because he's mad, any little thing, he's stressed out because of work, he doesn't have money. If I'm not doing what he wants.
Open the door!
That's not my fault that you're drinking at this time.
The kids are not getting along. He would throw a temper tantrum.
Okay, I'm calling your mom.
That's when Estefania says Seamus got emotionally and verbally abusive with her.
Making me feel bad if I ever left. Give me the guilt trip. Like, hey, you can't abandon your husband. A real wife wouldn't do that. Nobody will love you with 2 children. No one will love you the way I love you. And I believed him. I really did.
Estefania says she reached out to Seamus's family for help.
He'll be fine. It's just the alcohol. That's not him. Everything will be okay.
That was until June 13th, 2021, when Seamus was arrested for a domestic disturbance that sent Estefania to the hospital.
It was a dumb reason. He tried to play it off, like, oh, it was just the alcohol.
Still, Estefania dropped the charges.
I thought I was doing the right thing. I kept saying to myself, oh, well, that wasn't him, that's the alcohol. He'll be back to what he was before, the man that I married. And, I tried it again with him.
Estefania says immediately after the incident, Seamus was back to being sweet and charming like before. But then the cycle of abuse returned.
I was trying to be a supportive wife.
According to records, Warwick police officers responded to their home 11 times between 2020 and 2023, mostly for domestic issues. Seamus's family does not deny the couple's problems. His brother and mother say Seamus was a dedicated family man who constantly tried to make it work. They are devastated by what happened, but they blame Estefania for the ongoing problems between the two. But despite the calls, Warwick police say there weren't any clear signs to put the couple on their radar.
The amount of calls for service we've had in relation to that couple versus others is, in some cases, more, and in some cases, far less. We generally don't know what's happening in your home unless you call us and tell us.
It wasn't until 2023 that Estefania decided to leave for the first time when Gabriel started defending her.
He wasn't aggressive, but the words were very hurtful. And that's when I said, hey, I have to go.
Estefania stayed in a shelter home with both her kids. When she first left, Estefania says Seamus would follow her and threaten to call DCYF. Seamus's late father was also a notorious organized crime figure named Chucky Flynn. He died in federal prison, and Seamus's family adds the two never really had a relationship. But Estefania says Seamus claimed he would use his father's reputation and connections against her.
And I really believed him. He would really scare me.
Estefania says her time at the shelter expired after 6 months, so she leaned on family and friends for a while.
It was very hard for me as a single mother. I couldn't work. I was trying to get on the housing list. They knew, what I was going through, and they couldn't get me in because there was a long waiting list. It was very difficult. And during the separation, he sold the house.
Estefania then got a lawyer to file for divorce and to get full custody of the kids.
But my lawyer said to me, I don't think we have a good chance because it's not an ongoing thing, with the abuse. It's only happened once. There's not enough proof.
But Estefania says she was also noticing differences in Seamus's behavior that showed her he was working to change from taking classes for alcohol and parenting to signing a legal agreement preventing him from drinking around the kids.
So I was like, wow, he did all that for his kids.
Estefania agreed to split custody as long as he took a breathalyzer test before dropping Liam off.
He was passing every test, and I felt confident that he was okay.
That he was changing.
That he was changing. He was showing me, and he was doing all these things for me. He'd say that he loved me and the kids, and he misses us.
The divorce was set to be finalized on Valentine's Day 2024, but the day before, Estefania and Seamus decided to give their relationship another shot.
He just said, hey, what are we doing? We should drop this, you know, we love each other. Don't you see? In my head, I kept going back to the memories of the sweet, charming person that he was in the beginning. And that's what I kept hoping for. And of course, being with somebody for so long, you still love them. You want your family to stay together. I thought I was doing the right thing.
The couple dropped the divorce, and about a month later, they were living together again at his mother's home in Warwick. 2 weeks later, the unimaginable happened.
I thought everything was okay. He promised me the world. Just stay home, take care of the kids, and I'll take care of you. I didn't see any signs, and I thought he really changed.
Do you think the courts failed in protecting you and your family?
A little bit, you know. I know that in the past that, you know, I dropped that first charge against him in 2021. But when you file for divorce, you know, I feel like it gets serious, and I felt like I wasn't supported. It's been a nightmare, you know, nightmare that I wish I can wake up from. But unfortunately, it's my reality, and I just have to learn to live with this.
A reality that's true for countless others. This is the Elizabeth Buffum Chase Center Peaceful Walkway. You can find personalized bricks in honor or memory of a loved one. Liam's brick was installed in October after hundreds marched with Estefania and Gabriel, raising awareness about domestic violence.
I don't want what's happened to me to happen to other people.
In 2024, Warwick police made 158 domestic-related arrests. However, many of those cases may be dismissed because the victim may not follow through with the charges.
If there's a problem, we'd like people to take advantage of what's available to them to help them get out of a bad situation. We don't want to come back to your house for a bad call. We'd rather help you move into a new one.
Which is why they partner with the Elizabeth Buffum Chase Center.
A lot of our society have no idea what's going on with it, with domestic violence. They don't understand that domestic violence is not just physical violence. It is financial, it is brainwashing. There's so many things that go along with it that, you know, when something happens, people are like, we had no idea, because that's behind the scenes.
The Elizabeth Buffum Chase Center says their doors are always open. Last year, they helped more than 4,000 victims in Rhode Island through their numerous programs, from creating a safety plan to leave their abusive partner to how to navigate the judicial system and counseling.
We're going to tell you what we have and how we could possibly help you, to be able to help them and empower them and educate them, and then to see them get their life back and become safe and their children safe. That fulfills me every single time. Every single time I see their inner light come on. It's a rebuilding of self. It's about building them up so they can take their power back. And we're here. You know, we're never going to turn you away.
However, one of the biggest challenges for organizations and police departments is getting victims to reach out for help. That's why the Warwick Police Department started taking a more proactive approach with the Department of Probation and Parole to check in on victims.
But it can be very tricky to go to the home of someone and start asking questions about their domestic situation. And if they are involved with one, does that put us, or the victim more importantly, in a position where now we're provoking an incident that may have otherwise not occurred? Because you have that suspect party, the abusive party, wondering why the cops showing up now, why are they asking questions? You know, I thought we were good, or, you know, whatever it happened to be.
However, even if this proactive program was implemented earlier, officers would not have stopped by Estefania and Seamus's home, because Estefania dropped the domestic violence charges against her husband.
Will there ever be justice for you?
No, I feel a lot of anger. Because, I think back and there were moments that I felt like nobody wanted to help me when I wanted the help. And I was just stuck.
She's now holding her loved ones closer.
You give me strength.
Me too.
And dedicating her life to helping others who may be in a similar situation.
And hopefully if somebody resonates with my story, hopefully they can learn from my experiences, I just want to help make a change.
And even though the pain of losing Liam may never go away, his memory will always shine through.
He's like our guardian angel of the family now. I always know he's always going to be there with me. Not physically, but in spirit.
If you or a loved one are struggling with your mental health, you should call or text 988. If you're a victim of domestic violence, you should seek help immediately. We have a list of resources on this story on our website, WPRI.com.